let's go make some videos.
And I missed it.
Hello Internet, I'm the Disney Brain, and today we're talking Bizaardvark. I know, just hear me out. While this show has not been what I, and what many others honestly, would call quality entertainment, I think there's an interesting story to be told here. So, as we often do, let's take a closer look and piece together one of the more fascinating Disney Channel shows? I don't know, pick your adjective. Let's start from the beginning. Not the premiere quite yet, but even before that. If you watched Disney Channel at any point this year, prior to June 24th, then you were likely spammed with a Bizaardvark advertisement. The marketing strategy was exceptionally weird and not really an angle Disney Channel has ever taken before, but in a way, their strategy worked because of that out-of-the-box approach. Whether you were annoyed by the Bizaardvark ads or not, you knew the name long before it premiered. I still don't think it was a great first impression, but hey, it even made me more than a little curious to see what all the fuss was about. So, now we get to the pilot, and most of us are fully prepared to completely disregard this show, myself included. In fact, I wasn't even sure that I would review it when it premiered, but then, something interesting happened. I ended up actually liking the first episode, despite the obvious flaws. The lead pair was beautifully diverse and seemed reasonably likable. It proved that it understood what content creators like me go through, and, call me crazy, but some parts were actually funny. I've expressed these ideas in a couple of videos now, but it bears repeating. Despite every fiber in my brain convincing me that this show would flop hard, it didn't, at least initially. Whatever you may think about this show as a whole, most of which is probably justified, the pilot had heart and embraced its subject matter unapologetically. It wasn't afraid of being, well, bizarre, but it balanced that by giving the leads a legitimate problem to solve, a real challenge to overcome. Nothing was going to stop this show from being polarizing. We knew that the second an aardvark with glasses invaded our TV screen. But if this show was true to itself, proud of the weirdness, then it can at least fail or succeed on its own terms. So, I came into episode 2 with cautious optimism. I thought to myself, I could start reviewing this show every week if it's good enough. But alas, we all know what happens next. Not only was episode 2 disappointing, but then episode 3, maybe most of all, and then episode 4, then episode 5 wasn't too bad, but still, you get the idea. So, as the video title asks, what happened? Well, the way I see it, Bizaardvark just isn't bizarre enough. That sounds really weird, but I think it's true. The reason the pilot works is because it embraced and balanced both the ridiculous and the serious ideas they were tackling. Pretty much every episode after that is boring, plain, and just kinda dumb. They essentially gave up on almost all of the unique qualities that they could have embraced just to turn this show into yet another by-the-numbers Disney Channel sitcom. The jokes are ones we've heard 100 times, and a lot of the time, they aren't even delivered all that well. The plotlines are ones we've seen 1,000,000 times. Heck, they already took the crazy fan idea that iCarly did pretty well in the 4th episode. So on that front, my initial review was wrong, and a lot of you are right. Much of this show has become discount iCarly, and that's what I mean when I say it's not bizarre enough. It prides itself on being unique. In fact, that's what their first episode is really about, and then it completely squanders that potential by playing it safe in every episode after, and the small things that are unique to Bizaardvark feel very surface level and don't really hold much weight. But what's even more disappointing than that is this show's inability to work in the YouTube parallels anywhere near as effectively as in the first episode. It makes attempts, yes, but poorly conceived ones that are hamstrung by bad writing and worse teleplay. Draw My Life could have been a great peek into Paige and Frankie as people, but they never take the chance and dive deeper, and that could have been forgiven if they at least tried to be more than surface level crazy, but again, they keep playing things safe. This point is illustrated even further in Frankie as a Hater, episode 3. They fumbled a YouTube trend that's way too old to matter anymore, but with a topic like this, you have to peel back the layers to make it work, and they can't even get that right. I was sitting there, watching episode 3, literally begging the show to give me any reason to really care about Frankie and her plight. I thought this could finally be the moment, that singular moment that defines a character for you, that moment when you realize how much you really care about them, but that moment never came. All they had to do was show that Frankie could be a normal, functional, emotional human being, and her acting here felt more robotic than genuine. That had to be a directing mistake more than anything, because I can't believe anyone could react that stiffly when faced with an online bully. Remember when Disney Channel actually knew how to handle the bully plotline? It seems like so very long ago. This show had the chance to speak up to an up-and-coming generation of content creators as well as the YouTubers that already exist. This show had the chance to show content creators as real people who go through real struggles in addition to the zany stuff. This show had the chance to be a great many things, but episode after episode after episode, time and time again, it simply falls flat. And yes, fine, to be fair, there are a few okay episodes in there, but Bernie's in Charge is probably the only one of the bunch that comes close to the quality of the pilot. But at the end of the day, this show just isn't balanced, mainly because it completely threw out the original scale. It's not unique or weird enough, it doesn't understand content creation enough, and the end result of that imbalance is delivering tired, stale, cookie-cutter characters and plot threads that were already handled well in other better shows. But what really stings is, despite everything I've said, I still think Olivia Rodrigo and Madison Hu have potential as actresses, but they are given nothing to work with here. The directors can't get the best out of their actors at all, and the writers make those two jobs exponentially harder. And somehow, in spite of all of that, this show, which has almost as low an overall rating as Dog with a Blog, let that sink in, got renewed for a second season. But that's not the most disappointing part. The worst part is, despite the runaway success that Girl Meets World has proven to be, Disney Channel hasn't even attempted to push stories or narratives with real meaning beyond that one show. And maybe Raven's new show will do that, only time will tell, but for now, Bizaardvark has become just as forgettable, just as uninspired, as so random. And as painful as it is to admit, Dirk and his, comedy really makes me miss Rufus. Really. To make one final point, iCarly had many captivating moments of pure bliss and poignancy, in addition to one of the most perfect Nickelodeon series finales ever. But it was also never afraid of its own unique brand of insanity, especially with Spencer on hand. Bizaardvark, to its detriment, seems afraid to fail, and in thinking that way, it continues to fail. But, as always, let me know what you guys think. Can this show be salvaged? Is there quality that I'm just not seeing? Or is it time to cut the cord? Let me know down below. And of course, thanks for watching. Now, let's relive the best moment of the series so far.
Cashier rolls her eyes and says, "Could you take any longer?" So I'm like,
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
"I'm sorry, I didn't order a glass of your opinion."
Oh!